Imagine being locked underground for 30 days. No light, no sound, no clock, just darkness and your own thoughts. You start to hear whispers. You feel watched. Time unravels. You forget your name. Now imagine, this wasn't an accident, but an experiment. This is the true story of the world's most disturbing isolation tests. The bunker that broke human minds by design. In the 1950s and 60s, a question haunted military minds across the globe. What would happen to a person locked away in silence and darkness for weeks or months? During the Cold War, this wasn't just curiosity. It was a strategic necessity. Governments feared nuclear war. Deep underground bunkers were being built to house command centers, scientists, and elites. But no one knew what prolonged isolation would do to the human brain, so they tested it. From the US to the Soviet Union, covert programs were launched to study what would happen when a person was placed in complete, controlled, sensory deprivation. No sun, no time, no noise, no idea when or if they'd be released. In the US, psychologists like Donald Hebb and John Zubik pioneered sensory deprivation studies. Volunteers were paid to lie still in soundproof rooms, wearing blindfolds and muffled gloves, while white noise played nonstop. Within hours, their minds began to fragment. Some saw flashes of light. Others hallucinated complex scenes, animals walking into the room, distant voices, laughter. By day 3, most begged to leave. Some couldn't sleep. Others fell into catatonic silence. And these were just test rooms. Literally. But in the Soviet Union, the tests went deeper. Unofficial reports, some recently declassified, refer to an experimental Cold War-era facility buried beneath what is now Belarus. Known only as Tiefin Bunker 17, it was designed for long-term underground survival. But what it became was something else entirely. Volunteers, or possibly prisoners, were locked alone in sealed concrete chambers. Asterisk, no windows, no sounds, one dim red light. Rations delivered silently through sealed hatches. Monitored by cameras until subjects stopped responding. Some made it 10 days. Others lasted 15, but none reached the intended 30, because by then, most had lost their minds. Without sun or clocks, the body's internal rhythm breaks. You don't know if it's day or night. Sleep cycles collapse. Psychologists now understand what happens in deep isolation. First, disorientation. Next, auditory hallucinations. The brain invents sound, voices, music, whispering. Then, visual distortion. Even in light, shadows move. Some reported seeing people in the room, or their own reflections walking away. Paranoia sets in. And finally, emotional collapse. In Tiefin Bunker 17, reports describe participants smearing food on walls, pacing in silence for 10 hours, or talking to non-existent visitors. One subject clawed the door so hard his nails detached. Another stopped blinking for 12 hours straight. When these are stripped away, it begins to self-destruct. A third sat motionless until their heart monitor flatlined, with no medical explanation. These were not broken people. They were ordinary, before the bunker. Why does this happen? The human brain is built for input. It thrives on sound, light, movement, interaction. Your senses start guessing. You see things that aren't there, hear things that didn't happen. Your thoughts loop, your memories distort, your identity unravels. What's most disturbing is how fast it happens. Some test subjects experienced auditory hallucinations within 36 hours. Others showed signs of psychosis by day 4. In total darkness? In underground concrete? The process is faster. Asterisk if you could understand how long a man could survive in a bunker, or how quickly you could break his mind, you had an advantage. The silence isn't peaceful. It's predatory. Hear us what no one wanted to say out loud. These experiments weren't just scientific. They were strategic. In the Cold War, knowledge was power. Interrogation, espionage, deep space missions, wartime survival, even psychological warfare. They all benefited from this research. Some researchers believed it could even be applied to forced confessions or mind control. But the cost was human sanity. And that cost was buried, like the tests, underground. Tiefenbunker 17 was allegedly sealed in the late 1980s. The official reason? Structural collapse. Others say it was shut down because of what happened inside, or who never came out. To this day, some claim the bunker still exists, buried, quiet, waiting. But here's the real question. How long would you last? If the door locked behind you? This was Veridark. Subscribe for more real-world experiments, forbidden places, and truths left in the dark.